Hello, welcome to OverShadow ShadowCast with Thomas Anderson and Abigail Moit. Haha! Haha, welcome, haha.
Your hyperactivity just leapt there. Your energy levels just went from 0 to 100.
We have to seem like we're having good time and fun. Ha 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 ha. You remember that thing that happened back in the time with the place? Ha ha ha. That was good. Good times. Anyway, how have you been? Okay. And
I have been okay.
What have you been doing?
Playing games.
Anyway.
What was that?
Moving on.
What was that noise?
Have you been doing anything else with your life?
Working.
Nick just got boring.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll just move on past that, and you have a game to talk about next week, but we're not going to say what the game is. We're going to leave people in suspenders.
Because I need to look up what the storyline was, because I still have no clue.
Okay, so Abigail's not exactly the brightest bulb in the box.
That hurt.
Was it true?
No.
Really? You're the smartest person on the planet?
No, but don't use those words again. Do not do that. Do not take my words and twist them into something else. You know full well that when somebody says they're not the brightest bulb in the box, that means that they're dumb. I am not dumb.
All right, but you're like one of the original brand eco bulbs.
I hate those things.
A bit dim.
I love Lee Evans' joke on that. You like switch it on and even the bulb goes, "Oh, was somebody in here?" I love that joke.
Yeah, so I do have the question, I suppose, of how you managed to play the entire game and not follow any of the story.
It's very simplistic. It's just basically repeating the same thing over and over again. Because it's limited to what it can do. I don't know how to, like, the fact of the matter is you're like a character and it's in first person and you're wandering around. And you don't interact with anybody else, but sometimes there's somebody over like an intercom in your headset. What you're
basically saying is that the story is just like exposition, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right. Okay.
What you do is not affecting the story. What you're doing is just a way to get from place to place to place.
Just get to story. Okay. So that's what I have for next week. Your discussion of a particular game that we won't particularly mention at the moment.
No.
What? Yes.
We won't discuss it.
We do have that for next week, though, right?
Yeah, but we won't discuss it this week.
But we won't discuss it this week.
I did not sleep last night.
Yeah, I didn't get a lot either, so this is going to be interesting. Because normally at least one of us does. But this
has gone off the rails already.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will review that next week once I've actually read the synopsis of what was supposed to happen in the storyline. I think what the problem was, it was a sequel I played. And not the original.
Other than that, we have no gameplay reviews.
No, because we've just been doing more multiplayer matches on Halo.
Yes, well done.
I got the name right eventually.
Yes, it only took 7 years.
Yes. And you've started going full hog on me. You've like.
That sounds bad. Yeah, I've started really trying, and I think it was like 15-4.
Yeah.
And then 13-4. And I think what's good is that you're getting a number of kills while I'm being ruthless.
Yeah. There's one where I just snuck up behind you, just like twack on your skull and you die.
Beat me to death.
Yeah, because I really surprised you, which I was happy with. I finally got the drop on you. Haha.
Haha, indeed.
Shall we move on to Zanus?
Yeah, because I still beat you by 11 kills.
You're just like rubbing salt in that wound, don't you?
It's not a wound. You'll get. I mean, let's be honest. If I had done that to you when we'd been playing at the beginning, you would have lost 15-0 and never played again. So you've made a lot of progress.
Yes.
Anyway, you're correct. We'll move on to the first story.
Yes.
Which is a story regarding the World Health Organization.
Yes.
As you pronounced it.
Yes.
Gaming disorder has been recognised by the World Health Organization. Now, it's an addiction disorder. But what I would like to say is that they were very careful to say that it's very rare. It's only gaming addiction when there are extreme side effects, but those side effects would be attributable to any form of addiction. Mm-hmm. And it can only be diagnosed after a year of negative behaviours. So it's things like you're not eating, you're not washing, you're not sleeping.
So would the negative behaviours be a change in your behaviour?
Yes, a change.
Because, you know, if somebody's like not a gamer and they're not washing or anything like that, and then they start playing games and they're like, oh, it's negative behavior, because no, they just don't wash.
Yes. If they were to then wash even less frequently and the reason was they were playing video games, they were too busy, then yes, you could. But no, it's got to be pretty obvious and they have to be there for a long time. There are those that say that that games are inherently addictive because of the dopamine release. Well, to those people, because obviously when you play video games, there's a dopamine release in your brain. To those people, there's a comparison for you, made by Mr. Scientist Man. Some scientists have been coming out and they've said that gaming releases the same level of dopamine as a slice of pizza, but methamphetamine releases up to 10 times that, if not even more. In essence, science has finally proven that games are fun, but mildly addictive.
So gaming releases the same level of dopamine as a slice of pizza, but you're going to have to say that big word.
Methamphetamine.
Releases up to 10 times that, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Methamphetamine is a drug.
Oh, meth, right.
Actually, I think you would call these amphetamines.
Okay.
Wait, no, wait. No, I think you're right.
So basically it's saying that a drug will release 10 times as much dopamine.
A methamphetamine, which I believe is crystal meth. I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in essence, science has finally proven that games are fun, but mild addiction is not associated with negative outcomes. The only difference between most people who are addicted to games are that they play more games. There's no negative outcomes to it. And extreme addiction, which does have the negative outcomes, is very rare. And that's the one that's recognised as a disorder.
Okay, so these are like people who will be like calling in sick to work just to play a game, or not spending as much time with their family and friends, people who, like you say, won't be showering.
No, not
properly.
people who would phone in sick, people who would quit their job to play them.
Right.
Or instead of doing their job at work, they'll sit and play a game.
Yeah.
Many doctors and scientists have called out against pathologizing normal behaviour, because that's what playing games is. It's far less addictive than gambling, which is associated with many more severe negative outcomes.
Yeah.
Hence the bans on loot boxes, which are a coming.
Because people have been saying, especially about games which are super violent or risque, shall we say. Controversial, yes. Because these games were always considered to be the most addictive ones. Like, that was always in the media, in the culture, people believed that these games were very addictive and they would corrupt your brain.
Yeah, no, that was a misinformation thing. That was because...
no, I understand it was a misinformation
a lot of
thing.
things which have that in them happen to just be the most fun.
Yeah.
But also, they liked to draw a link between violence in video games and violence in real life, even though science has clearly demonstrated that it's not there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the I think when researchers actually look into it and actually have a look at it, they say that it's one of the most clear-cut cases where there is no causative link between the two, or even associative link. There is just no correlation between playing a violent video game and then going and hurting someone.
No.
I think there are games which just go out, like Manhunt maybe might be interesting, or Postal I think was one of them. But those games, if they're not good, they don't do well. We talk about it later, No Russian from Call of Duty 2. That Modern Warfare 2, sorry. That was really, really good, not just because it was controversial. That got news stories talking about it, and then people bought the game. It was good because of the way it was done.
Yeah.
Same with the Makey love scenes with an alien in Mass Effect. They were apparently controversial when first Mass Effect came out in 2007. And yet, that game was fantastic. The controversial worked because they did it in the right way, but that's why that game was so good, because everything was done in the right way, so the whole thing was good.
Mm-hmm. But it's just... I think anything can be addictive. You know?
Yeah.
Exercise is addictive.
And that could actually be harmful because you could hurt yourself if you overdid it.
Yeah, so exercise is addictive. But everybody just wants to talk about things which are like the bad addictives. They don't want to talk about the good addictives.
Well, no, there's no good addictive.
But I mean, there's a perception that, if you're addicted to, like, quote unquote bad stuff, like drug and alcohols and stuff like that, that is bad. But if you're addicted to, like, exercise and stuff like that, that's probably better for you, which is no, because an addiction's an addiction. I don't know where I was going with that train of thought.
Yeah, I think you've actually flipped on yourself and argued against what you were saying. I think you're trying to say is that people focus on the easy ones to dislike.
Yeah.
What you've accidentally done is say that there's good addictions but there are no good addictions. So it's a bit... You've sort of contradicted yourself, but I kind of see what you were trying to say.
Yeah, I'm trying to... But,
is that people like to attack the addictions that they don't like.
Mm-hmm. But I think this is going to give a lot more fuel to the fire of people who like to use that as a way to try and get people not to game. They'll use it as like anytime there's a tragedy, they will use this. This has now been recognized by the World Health Organization.
See, my issue with that is that's very similar to gun control advocates, that they use terrible things happening. And that makes sense because that's what you do,
Yeah.
If there was a whole load of people dying in a single year because of poor road safety laws, you'd campaign to change based on that. My issue is that it's more like... do you know what, actually, just thinking about this, I've got a real issue with the fact that there's a huge movement out there to legalise cannabis, even though cannabis in the UK is dangerous. Because we have skunk. We don't have normal cannabis like the Americans do. We have skunk.
I don't. I'll just go with this because I don't know what. I'll ask off this what that means. But
skunk is the type, and it's very bad. It's the type that if you smoke from your teenage years, once you get to your 40s, you can't compose a sentence. It's the really hardcore stuff.
Okay.
But this is fine. In fact, if anything, you can learn from video games. They can expose you to new things and tell stories. Lighten Up can't do that. But they are far more adamant of being allowed to do that thing than protecting the right to do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about personal preference. That's it. People don't like video games because they don't understand them, so they want them shut down. That's it. So I'm quite happy for the WHO to recognise it, because if... the kind of negative behaviours, those people do need help.
Yeah. No, yeah. If you have an addiction, if you have a serious addiction, yes, you do need help.
So that's the point, is that, I know that my family will turn around and say, well, that's you then, isn't it? No, I choose not to wash.
That's disgusting.
It was a joke.
I know.
Jeez. Whoa.
That's the noise I make whenever you go. Smelly.
No, that's when I pass wind. You seen that bad guy on the left? The noise you make when I walk past is fwa, not wah.
You choose to believe what you want to hear.
What? You choose to hear what you want to believe.
Yes.
Next story. Rockstar Games developer. This is quite a serious one, so get that smile off your face.
That's not me smiling. That's a look of confusion. Like, what happened?
Yeah, that confusion off your face. It's manifesting as a smile. A Rockstar Games developer has alleged that he was aggressively groped by Vice President of Product Management at a company event in 2014. Now, I've decided not to say the names, and the reason for that is quite simple. You didn't say product development. You said something else. Vice President of Product Development.
I thought you said something else.
No. Now, an investigation took place, but the accusation couldn't be verified, and the accused denies the event ever took place. Not the company event, but the touchy.
Yeah.
Now, you can find these names quite easily online, but I've decided to leave them out just because I think that there's such a stigma associated to touchy attacks, sexual assault, rape, all that sort of stuff.
Don't play it down by calling it a touchy attack.
Well, that's the point I'm trying to make, is that they're taken so seriously, and those crimes, there is no crime like sex attacks when it comes to how sticky, how no smoke without fiery it is. If you get accused of it, then you're guilty to at least 25% of the population.
Yeah.
And that's unacceptable.
But I will say something there that you said. They always should be taken seriously. They should never be taken lightly. You said they're taken so seriously, and yeah, they should be taken seriously.
Yes, but my point is that I think that they're taken too seriously in the aspect of once you're accused, you're guilty.
Yeah, but that's the public perception taking it too seriously.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. I agree completely with if there's an accusation made, it should be investigated and taken seriously. Nobody should say, "Are you sure? Should we just sweep that under the carpet?" What I'm saying is that when the public comes to it, they don't see it as... Basically, there's a lot of a case of they're unlikely to be lying. And how likely is it that they made a mistake? That they just thought they'd been touched when they hadn't?
No, I think whenever you're accused of something, that will always follow you, no matter where you go.
Yes, but that's so what I'm saying is I'm not putting names to it, because until that changes, there was a debate I was watching the other day, was should people who are accused of crimes like that have anonymity? And the arguments made by the women who disagreed were nonsense. They made zero sense. So I'm not going to spread this person's name because I disagree with it. I think they should be anonymity.
Okay. Unless someone's proven
guilty, in which case absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine.
Because I think they get put on a register as well,
yeah,
which I think is public record.
That's 100% fine. My issue with it is when you name the person, that will be followed their whole lives. You know, you're talking about their children and wives, because it's usually straight men that get accused. They'll start looking at them differently, and if they haven't done anything wrong, we assume innocence, not guilt.
Yeah.
I'm not going to join in with this naming and shaming of people when they haven't been convicted. We'll move on to Apex Legends now.
Okie dokie.
So its February launch month made $92 million, but April made it $24 million. Exactly a third.
Right.
And its player base is disappearing.
Doesn't look good. The sad thing is that we're just seeing these kind of stories more often.
Well, that's not sad. It's an EA game.
I know, but it is sad, though, that we see more of this.
Why?
I just think it is.
Well, I think it's sad.
I think it's sad for the people that work on it.
I think it's sad that they haven't been able to make the game properly. But it's not sad that they then get punished for it.
Yeah.
I'm not sad about that. You know, if you won't put enough time and money in to have more content for Apex Legends, then yes, it shouldn't do well. If you're not going to make Anthem properly, then it shouldn't do well. If you're going to treat Bungie like rubbish, then yes, they'll leave. And they will seek their own independence.
Yeah.
It's just the way that it works. I'm happy that they're doing that.
Do you think this will launch more smaller companies?
No. Not necessarily.
Like if people decide to break away from EA, more people leave and then
you can't break away. They're owned.
No, I mean people. Like people leaving and then creating their own thing. Could this be a resurgence of the...
Well, you see, the thing is that the Respawn people, I believe originally they were the original team for Infinity Ward that are owned by Activision. So maybe, but then they'll probably just be bought again. I just want to see, EA and Activision Blizzard die.
Because I know that if I was in a company with like a group of people, like in this kind of setup where I was, working ridiculous 18-20 hours a day on a game during crunch time, and it's just not working with this company, I would speak to everybody and go like, shall we just start our own game company?
Anyway, the point here is that they haven't put enough time and effort into Legends, so there's still only one map. They haven't added enough characters and new weapons and loot and all the rest of it. Fortnite is constantly doing stuff, and one of the other problems is that a lot of the good stuff from Apex Legends has been nicked by Fortnite already.
Right.
So it's just...
I think people will probably leave and create their own little companies.
I think the issue...
More independent gaming.
I think the issue here that we've got here is the fact that a lot of the attention for Apex Legends was originally manufactured.
Is this where they've been paying influencers to... Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was always going to fall apart.
Yeah. Should we move on to the fourth story? Literally one sentence.
Sticking with EA.
Well, so was the last story we just read was a sentence long, but this is half a sentence long, if anything.
Sticking with EA.
Yes.
Anthem has announced Cataclysm. Again.
What's happened this time?
Well, Cataclysm is the new game type they're going to add, and they're going to add it in May.
What is Cataclysm?
Cataclysm is the new game type, and they're going to add it in May.
What is it?
The new game type that they're going to add
I don't know what you mean.
May.
I don't know what you mean by...
In May.
Right, okay. Yes, I get what you're saying now. It was supposed to have already happened.
Yes.
So but I just want to know what it is.
Well, I'll explain it. What it is it seems to be a sort of wave-based horde type thing. I don't know if it's wave-based, but it's very much like it. Apparently it works because you get given an area and you have to defend it from oncoming enemies. You have a time limit. Doing certain things gets you more time, and then there's a boss at the end you have to beat. But it's not ready.
No, obviously not, because it's now June.
Yeah, I think what they're doing is they're showing it off so people can see it. Mm-hmm. But I think the real problem here is the fact that it's not ready. And they're saying that it wasn't ready because they've had to fix lots of things with the game. Well, you had to fix those things with the game because you didn't make your game properly first time round.
Yeah.
So that's not a good enough excuse.
No.
You can't say to people, this is what we've got. This is the timetable. Not meet the timetable. Not tell anyone, but say you're delivering on time, even though you're late.
Yeah.
Do you remember when I said before that if you've bought Anthem, you can get a refund based on fraud?
Yeah.
And false advertising. This is why. This timetable was available when the game came out, and yet they've clearly not stuck to it, so that's false advertising.
I don't understand how they're getting away with it.
I don't think they are. Apparently the games, the player base is just gone. It's not there.
Customer power can work. Or the lack of.
Well, that's a shame because I don't want BioWare shut down. It's just that BioWare haven't had a chance here, you know. EA run them so badly, there's no real way for them to do anything.
Will they break away? Could they leave?
They can't break away. I know you like to talk about the people, but I'm afraid in this instance the people don't really matter because the IP is locked into EA. That's the difference with Bungie, is that Bungie was able to dislocate the IP and take Destiny with them. That's not the same here.
So they're either looking at if they don't want to play by EA's rules, they'll have to give up their back catalogue.
No, they won't be able to make another Anthem, another Dragon Age, or another Mass Effect.
But they'd still own all their previous properties.
No, they wouldn't own any IP. They'd all be owned by EA. You wouldn't even be able to call them BioWare. They'd have to leave and call themselves...
non-BioWare.
Yeah. Wetware. Newware. Hey, it's us again, where. It's just not... It can't happen. But what's disgusting is the fact that EA are just like... They're not coming out saying, oh God, we're so sorry. They're just saying, it's amazing and you're not playing it because you are so bad at games. And they said that the bad reaction of the player base is what caused them to sell less copies than they wanted. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a bad reaction because it's a bad game.
Yeah.
Get it, would you? Jeez. Anyway. Well, I had fun there ripping into EA. But we now have to talk about Activision Blizzard and rip into them.
Yay!
Activision Blizzard have fired 30% of their staff in France.
Boo!
Unions in France have accused them of breaking employment law.
Revolution!
French labour laws do not allow companies to fire people to satisfy shareholders or outsource, and without making sure that they can find a new place of work. Activision Blizzard boasted about their huge profits and share price, and then they fired people. In French law, that means a huge amount of severance pay. Also, the jobs apparently moved to their place in Ireland, so they weren't redundant. Mm-hmm. So on the balance of things, it's the whole, we're doing so well, but we have to fire all of you. You're not really allowed to do that in France. You have to sort of explain why you're having to let people go.
Yeah, well, I think they should make that law no matter where you are.
Yeah, I think it should be an EU law, to be honest. In France, if you plan to release more than 10 employees, then you must have meetings with representatives of the employees and the government, and they have to discuss things like, what other types of employment they can get, if you're going to help them, what their severance pay is going to be, all that sort of jazz. But here's was a bit of an issue with the story, is that apparently they did that. So they must have still misunderstood, or maybe just didn't want to do what they agreed on. But there's also the fact that Macron is trying to change the law in France because unemployment's quite high because of these sorts of laws. So he's trying to reduce them a bit. And so the unions in France might be trying to fight against that, using this as an example. Do you understand?
No.
He's trying to reduce their labour protection laws.
Macron is?
Yes.
Okay.
Hence the yellow vests. Okay. Now, this is the sort of thing where the protection would be reduced. So there is a possibility that the unions are doing this so that they can make a point, not necessarily because Activision Blizzard have done anything wrong.
Okay, so...
Well, I'm just trying to say that there's ulterior motives for both people here. However, if you want to talk about whether or not it's wrong, I seem to be in the minority here from all the different people that I was watching and reading about this topic. A lot of them were saying that this is just business, and if you move the workers to another country and it's cheaper, that's just the way that it works. A company's about making profit, and sometimes people get fired.
Yeah.
Rubbish. If you have used those people to make a profit, you have a responsibility to them. Secondly, you can legally enforce a responsibility. You want to make lots of money. You want to make lots of money. You shareholders want to make lots of money. That's absolutely fine. These are the laws. Insider trading's illegal. You have to look after your employees. End of story. That's it.
Yeah.
This God-given right to use and abuse your workforce. No, it doesn't exist. You have a right to make loads and loads of monies. Your shareholders have a right to make loads and loads of monies. Absolutely fine. But that means there's a legal responsibility. Just make it a legal responsibility to look after the workforce. So you've got to pay your taxes, you can't insider trade, all that sort of jazz. They have to look after their workforce.
Yeah.
They have a responsibility. That's how you do it legally. It's a matter of law. If you want to sidestep morality, absolutely fine. Just make it the law. But then they come back and say, well, that's not right, that's not fair, that's not business. Well, that doesn't make any sense. You just said it's not about morality. So I've just decided we're going to do it based on the democracy of the situation. And if the majority of people want these laws, we get these laws done. What's more important, that shareholders make more money or that their employees can't afford to feed their families?
Their employees are more important.
Exactly. So I don't understand this attachment with people's right to make billions of dollars, but everybody else starves. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't understand why so many privileged people in the media don't see that. Oh, I've just noticed why.
Why? Enlighten us, please.
Because they're privileged people in the media. Media looks out for itself. Right, anyway, I think that this will be an interesting story to watch, but and it could have something to do with the unions being a wee bit OTT. Could be Activision Blizzard have missed something. But for me,
that's a big percentage.
Yeah, but for me, it's still an important point that I want job protection. I don't want to be like America where you can be fired for no reason. You know?
I don't think there is such a thing as job protection anymore, no matter where you are.
In America, you don't even have to give them severance pay. You can literally just say, no, you're going home today. We're cutting your contract. That's it. That's not...
Oh, right. Anyway, shall we move on to the last piece of news?
Yes, now this sticks with Activision Blizzard, but it's a good piece of news, and I wanted to end on that. Well, it's a good piece of news, but a bad piece of news. It's sort of a silly piece of news.
Do you want to continue with the piece of news and tell me what the piece of news is, please?
Yes, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, as you correctly surmised last time, or the time before, or some previous time in the past, that's what it's called. It has a single-player campaign, co-op play, and no season pass.
This is the one that's being released this year, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
So it has a single-player campaign, co-op, and no season pass. That seems to be quite good fan service.
Yeah.
However, it has caused a games media journalist to say it shouldn't be made. He's been referencing the No Russian controversy and the fact that kids will play it. It's interesting to me that after people attack war-based video games, first-person shooters and all the rest of it, for not being realistic, they then attack them for being realistic.
I don't understand this referencing no Russian controversy.
No Russian is a mission in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which I'm not going to tell you what happens in because I want you to play it for yourself.
But there's a sentence there that I see, which is the fact that kids will play it. I'm going to assume that this game has got a rating.
Yes, it's for adults.
Do you actually know what the rating is?
No, because the ratings change depending upon what rating agency you fall under.
Okay, well, anyway, it's going to have a rating, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the lowest rating for proper age restriction is 12 in this country, isn't it?
Yes.
Are games
no,
rated
this,
differently?
this would be 18.
I know, but I'm just okay. So we're looking at
the
18.
video games are actually done by the. I believe they're actually done by the movies one as well.
No, but I mean, is it the same like 12, 15,
Well, they're
18?
done by the same people, so I believe that they have this. They only have one set.
Okie dokie.
In America, they've got like 73 different ones.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole. So, here's the thing.
But he only cares about America.
Shush. If, doesn't matter what it is, a television show, a movie, a game, has got a rating on it, it's that child's guardians, we'll say, who's responsible if that child plays it or not.
Or watch it, yeah.
Because that child cannot go into a cinema, it can on television if it knows like a PIN number or something like that. Because most things have got a PIN number. A child can't walk into a cinema and watch an 18-rated film.
They can't buy an 18.
They can, but they can't if their parents there. I think that they can.
The parent can buy it.
Yeah.
They can't go into an 18 movie.
If they go into a store, I think they're also ID'd as well. If they're a child buying a movie, I believe a child is also ID'd if they try and buy a rated game as well. I don't think they're legally allowed to buy that. They're illegally allowed to sell it to that child.
No, you're legally allowed to buy it, but you're not legally allowed to sell it.
That's what I meant, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not a crime for a child to attempt to buy it, it's a crime for someone to sell it to them.
Yes. However, if a guardian or a relative or somebody older who's responsible for that child buys them that game, it's on that person.
Yeah. The difference, I think, being that you can watch a movie at home beforehand, you can play a game yourself beforehand, you can sit there with them and immediately stop it. If you're in a cinema, you can't. You can't preview it and you can't stop it.
No.
So I think that's why you can't take a child in, but you can buy the rest.
Yeah.
There's also the fact it would be illegal to stop you from buying it just because a child is there. But really, these things are recommendations. They're there to say to parents, are you sure? You might want to check this out beforehand and make sure your kid's ready for it.
Yeah, because I mean, if you are going to buy an 18-rated game that's called Modern Warfare, you know.
My parents got those for us and let us play them. I think I was 12 or 13 when I played the first one.
It's like, here's.
But I was ready for it.
I remember going to go watch The Woman in Black, right, in the cinema. And it had been out for a very long time.
Is that the one with Daniel Radcliffe
yes,
in it? Right.
which I'll bring back onto it. And it was virtually empty. I went to go see it with my mum, because we both like scary movies. There was a birthday party at the front with little kids who were like about 8 years old. That film was rated 12, I believe. And afterwards, I heard the mum exclaim, because like all these kids were like really noisy, and then they just got really quiet during the movie, or they were like scared and things like that. They were sitting in the front row, so yeah. And I heard the mum, I don't know if it was the mum or whoever took them to see this, say, I thought it was going to be more like Harry Potter. I was just like, don't blame the movie if your kids are scared.
Because you didn't do your research. You just saw Daniel Radcliffe and assumed it is Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But I think we're getting caught up on the children will play it part. The no Russian controversy is more the issue. It was, I'm not going to tell you what it was, but what it actually was, but it was something that shocked people and made a lot of people go, ooh, should that be in a game?
I'm going to guess it was incredibly realistic.
And yeah, yeah.
And that's what I'm going to get from the context of the story. That's what I'm going to guess what that means.
Right. But the point here is the fact that that's one of the reasons saying that because it's modern warfare, right? In this, you're dealing a lot with insurgencies, all that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
well, I mean, it's warfare.
People who no, but not standard. They're Germans. Allies. That's their uniform. This is mine. We're talking about people who are dressed up as civilians. We're talking about people who are in their houses. We're talking about that sort of thing. We're talking. Apparently, there's one mission in which you play as a little girl in Syria, and you're trying to avoid being killed in gas attacks and stuff like that.
Jeez.
It's about the realities of modern warfare. It's a realistic, gritty interpretation of real war now.
Yeah.
And that's basically the issue, is that they're saying, well, we don't want this, do we? Because what we have is people being shown images of violence against civilians. Yeah, I do want to see that, because that's what it is. You might want to hide and pretend this stuff isn't happening. I don't.
Well, it is happening.
Yeah, I don't. I want to see it.
Just because we're not just because it's not in the news every single day doesn't mean it's not happening every single day.
Just because we're not there doesn't mean. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening.
Yeah.
So that's my issue. Is that this is essentially censorship. So he does say, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have done it, and I'm not saying that that somebody else should block them from doing it, but they shouldn't have done it. I mean, what?
Yeah.
And it's not very, to me, it's not very smart. It's just a case of a games journalist saying that they don't want games to be able to do things because it might cause violence.
If somebody,
it's like they don't even know their own field.
I hate that people blame games because people become violent. No, those people are already violent. There was already something there that made them want to do that.
Do you know that I think it's been linked with the other way around. If you show someone something horrible in a video game, they're less likely to be violent because they had to do it.
Yeah.
So they've done it. It's partially a cathartic experience of, so that's what it's like, but also it's a case of, oh God, what have I done? But instead of after having actually killed someone, it's after they've blown up a fake person.
It's either you want a realistic game or you don't.
I also find, because I think there was a tax law, Trump's thinking about bringing in a video game tax for violent games. I mean, this is where it goes. This is where America, I would love to put it on another planet and just pretend it's not there. Because I'm sick fed up of them saying games are causing violence, but guns don't kill people. Video games do. Do you know what? They're right if somebody buries a disc in someone's brain.
But even then, that's just one disc.
It could have been a CD of music. Music's killing people. Anyway, for a games media journalist to want to censor it, it's basically, I think it's just playing to a sort of woke crowd, as it were.
Yeah.
The hyper woke that get offended by absolutely everything.
Yeah.
That's basically what's happening here. He's trying to play to the hyper woke.
If you don't want to play a violent game, don't play it.
It's not for you, just don't play it.
Yeah. It's like, I don't like chick flicks. I don't watch them.
Yeah.
I like some, but I don't like the comedy, the ones which are comedy but they're not really comedies.
Rom-coms.
No. Something else.
Com-roms?
No, there's a type of comedy out I'll tell you anyway, yeah, I'm not a big fan of rom-coms anyway.
Oh, I am.
I don't really like comedies all that much.
I do. I am. I like them.
I like certain ones. I like it when it's humor. I don't like humiliating humor.
Oh,
like cringe. I hate cringe-worthy comedy. I can't stand it.
I'm not able to deal with cringe.
I have to fast forward through it or I have to switch it off. But literally, I'm like cringing up in my chair, like.
Yeah.
I just become a crumpled mess.
I'm okay. I'm a bit better if there are other people watching it, but if I'm on my own, I just fast forward straight through it. No,
I can't do it either way. I actually have to leave the room.
No, I know, but sometimes I can handle it. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Nah.
But yeah. A lot of the time it's either fast forward or I'm going for a walk.
Yeah.
Do you know what's really bad is when it's political and just when somebody is making an argument that makes no sense.
I know exactly what you talk about when you talk about an argument where people try an argument that makes no sense. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. I
honestly do.
When it comes to this, I'm not entirely sure I understand what the goal is of this gentleman other than to be hyper woke.
Hyperwoke. I'm a rapper name, Hyperwoke.
Yeah. Then he can release his own games console.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we end it there for today?
Yes, we shall.
So if you like what you've listened to today, we'd like to thank you. But also if you don't like what you listened to today, we'd also like to thank you. If you'd like to hit that subscribe button and your like button, hit the little notification bell for when we inevitably upload on a Wednesday. Always on a Wednesday. You can follow us on Facebook at overshadow.shadowcast. And you can email us at overshadow.shadowcast@gmail.com. All that will be left in the description down below. If you'd like to leave a little comment to let us know if we can improve this, I'm sure there is ways we can improve this.
There have to be ways we can improve this.
Many ways we can improve this. But if we don't know what you guys want, we can't do anything about it. So
it's your fault, basically, is what she's saying.
No, I'm saying it's both our faults.
No, I'm saying it's their fault.
50-50.
No, I'm saying it's their fault. Because they haven't told us what we're doing wrong. Censorship.
So, after all that, thank you all listening. Genuinely, we really do appreciate it.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to say thank you all, because I know there's only 2 people. But thank you both.
So I'm going to say goodbye.
I'm also going to say goodbye.
Bye-bye.